I'm sure you've heard the DEA is moving to reschedule cannabis to Schedule 3, but I'm like yourself, I'm wondering what does that actually mean for the cannabis businesses that exist right now? It's kind of confusing, and everyone seems kind of optimistic, but also worried. And it seems right now like nothing's exactly going to change yet, but there could be some big implications. So let's check out some articles and see what they say. I've got one pulled up right here. So, what marijuana reclassification means for the United States. Washington, AP, is moving towards reclassifying marijuana as a less dangerous drug. The Justice Department proposal would recognize the medical use of cannabis, but wouldn't legalize it for recreational use. So, this is very important because if they actually recognize it as a pharmaceutical thing, as a medical medicine, then we could start to see some big moves from pharmaceutical companies. And what has actually changed? What happens next? So yeah, like I said, technically nothing yet. The proposal must be reviewed by so okay, it's gonna go over a bunch of blah 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 blah, and I'm sure they'll write it exactly how they want it so that they can all benefit. I can't emphasize enough how big of a news it is. Overall, I mean, morally, it's good, right? That it's not that the government's recognizing that it has medical benefits, but I think everyone is just very kind of cautious because of how the government has acted in the past. So it came after President Joe Biden, both HHS and the Attorney General, who oversee the DEA last year, to review how marijuana was classified. Schedule 1 put it on par legally with heroin, LSD, quaaludes, and ecstasy, among others. Biden, a Democrat, supports legalizing medical marijuana for use where appropriate with medical and scientific evidence. White House Press Secretary Karen Jean-Pierre said Thursday that is why it is important for this independent review to go through. So, I mean, if he's really gonna, uh, this is just confusing because the whole Biden administration, they've been saying that they're pro cannabis, whatever, letting people, they're like saying they're pardoning people, which we need to do another video about because I don't know if that, like, there's still people in jail for weed. So how can you say that when that's the case? But yeah, and I mean, LSD probably shouldn't be on this list either. So yeah, there's just a lot of weird stuff going on, and that's what makes everyone so suspicious, I think. Yeah, would it legalize recreational cannabis nationwide? I think this is what people are the most worried about because no, it wouldn't. It would make it so you would need a prescription technically, and dispensaries have nothing to do with writing prescriptions or doctors. So if it moved to Schedule 3, technically all recreational dispensaries in every state will become illegal federally. Whereas now they're still illegal federally, but the pharmaceutical companies don't have a monetary reason to try and push them out. This gives them that the power to do that potentially. And that's why it's going to become a problem, I think. But it could also just allow for more medical like programs to start popping up and more maybe national medical programs that are more gray area and allow for small batch. I doubt that. The way I see it likely happening is this will kind of work in conjunction with the hemp farm bill. So we'll kind of see two sides come out, maybe more of a pharmaceutical big business side, and then hopefully they'll just leave the THC, hemp, all of that can just start to develop and become more natural and more natural products that have good terps and good benefits and all of that that are just less regulated and less high in THC. I could see that potentially happening, but again, there's really no way of knowing. I don't think anyone knows right now. And if they do, then they are a super Chad working with the pharmaceutical companies, and I should be scared of them. But what could this mean for research? So that, yeah, that would be good. Oh, I skipped over this part to business taxes. So like 280E could go away. Potentially medical, uh, recognizing the medical benefits could allow banks to give to businesses, and then if this didn't fuck with the dispensaries that already existed, and grows, they could potentially get loans from the banks. But again, if they can get loans but they get put out of business, that's not really that much of a benefit. What would this mean for research? Because it's Schedule 1, it's been very difficult to conduct authorized clinical studies that involve administering the drug. That has created something of a catch-22, calls for more research, but doing it, yeah, exactly. So for years, it's been, oh, it has no medical benefits, but you also can't research them. So that hasn't really made sense to anyone. So maybe one of the benefits of this is that it could fix that. One of the negatives is that it could put all the dispensaries out of business. I think that's the main takeaway that I got from this. Let's see. Schedule drugs are easier to study, though the reclassification wouldn't immediately reverse all barriers to study. So, okay, it's going to be really confusing for a long time, said Ziva Cooper, director of the University of California, Los Angeles Center for Cannabis and Cannabinoids. When the dust has settled, I don't know how many years from now research will be easier. Among the unknowns, whether researchers will be able to study marijuana from state licensed dispensaries and how the Federal Food and Drug Administration might oversee that. Some researchers are optimistic, reducing the schedule to Schedule 3 open up the door for us to be able to conduct research with human subjects with cannabis, said Susan Ferguson, director of University of Washington's Addiction, Drug, and Alcohol Institute in Seattle. So potentially could allow more funding for research and allow actual research. But if the FDA has to get involved, then that's going to just complicate all of the existing cannabis businesses that exist right now. Oh, yeah. Okay. Taxes and banking. That's kind of what I was talking about earlier. Under the federal tax code, businesses involved in trafficking in marijuana or any other Schedule 1 or 2 drug can't deduct rent, payroll, or various other expenses that other businesses can write off. Yes, at least some cannabis businesses, particularly state licensed ones, do pay taxes to the federal government despite its prohibition on marijuana. Industry groups say the tax rate often ends up at 70% or more. This is absolutely true. The deduction rule doesn't apply to Schedule 3 drugs, so the supposed change would cut cannabis companies' taxes substantially. They say it would treat them like other industries and help them compete against illegal competitors, the frustrating licensees and officials in places such as New York. You're going to make these state legal programs stronger, says Adam Goers of the cannabis company, formerly Columbia Care. He co-chairs a coalition of corporate and other players that's pushing for rescheduling. It could also mean more cannabis promotion and advertising if those costs could be deducted, according to Bo Kilmer, co-director of the RAND Drug Policy Center. Rescheduling wouldn't directly affect another marijuana business program. Difficulty accessing banks, particularly for loans, because the federally regulated institutions are wary of the drug's legal status. The industry has been looking instead to a measure called the Safe Banking Act, has repeatedly passed the House but stalled in the Senate. Okay, yeah. So I think all of these people promoting it, I would need to look more into this, but I know Columbia Care, yeah, I don't know. All these people make me nervous, and the fact that they're so excited, I don't know. I think it's something that we all need to be wary about. Are there critics? What do they say? Indeed, there are, including the National Anti-Legalization Group, Smart Approaches to Marijuana. President Kevin Sabet, a former Obama administration drug policy official, said the H flies in the face of science. Okay, well, I don't really care about what these people have to say. I'm interested in more about the dispensaries. What does the DEA reschedule mean for licensed state businesses? Let's see. So yeah, I don't know. These all look kind of like the same thing that they all just got from the AP thing. No one really knows. No one knows. Hopefully it doesn't. Yeah, I'm not even going to read that. No one knows. Hopefully it doesn't hurt all the existing businesses when the pharmaceutical companies try to get into it, which it very much could. But it also could open up more lanes for research and more access to banking and loans.